Hello, welcome back to Literature Lit with channel. In today's lesson, we're going to discuss the types of literary criticism with great examples. So let's get started. Well, first of all, we have to understand what is literary criticism. The word criticism is etymologically derived from the Greek word meaning judgment. So, literary criticism is nothing but the exercise of judgment on works of literature. Okay, then how many types of literary criticism are there? There are various types of criticism that have flourished from time to time. The first type that I have for is legislative criticism. Legislative criticism is the kind of criticism practiced by the Elizabethans. Large part of 18th century critics belong to this group. From its name itself, we can understand what is legislative criticism. What is the meaning of legislative? The act of making laws. So, this kind of criticism lays down rules for the art of writing based on the best writings of Greek and Latin literature. The critics of this kind teach the poet how to write or how to write better. Moving on to the next type of criticism. The next type of criticism is judicial criticism. In this criticism, we should follow the rules of ancient Greek and Latin masters, especially Aristotle and Horace. If a work is found to follow these rules, it is good. If not, it is condemned as worthless. After all, through the classical era, Dr. Johnson may be regarded as the most powerful exponent of this kind of criticism. The next type of criticism that I have for is theoretical criticism. In this theoretical criticism, the critics focus not on particular works but on literature in general. The great example for this kind, I would say, Sidney's An Apology for Poetry. An Apology for Poetry is considered a landmark in the history of English literature. In this work, Sidney discussed the nature and function of poetry and drama. So, in this theoretical criticism, a study is made on the process of creation and the basic principles in literature. Let's see the next type of criticism. The next type of criticism is evaluative criticism. What is evaluative criticism? Are you puzzled what the evaluative criticism is? Do you think the moral and ethical values are important for the greatness of a work of art? If you say yes, you and the great critic T.S. Eliot are thinking in the same way. According to T.S. Eliot, moral and ethical standards are necessary to determine the greatness of a work of literature. The evaluative criticism is a type of criticism which concerned the worth and significance of a work of art. For example, a work may be aesthetic, moral, or purely personal, and thus an attempt is made to estimate its place and importance. So, this is what the evaluative criticism. Next, moving on to the fifth type of criticism is historical criticism. Every writer is influenced by the age in which he lives, isn't it? And also, the writer is influenced by the social, economic, religious, political, and literary trends of his age. For example, Shakespeare's work cannot be understood without the knowledge of the social and political life of the day, moreover its popular customs and rituals. So, the historical criticism views the work of art against the background of the age in which it was written. So, this is what historical criticism. A work cannot properly be estimated without an understanding of the social, economic, religious, political, and literary trends. The next type that I have for you is comparative criticism. What is comparative criticism? It is nothing but a comparison. This criticism evaluates a work by comparing it with other works of similar nature. It can be done in the same languages or in between two different languages. Dryden and Arnaud are great advocates of this kind, but Arnaud was its first powerful advocate and exponent. Let's go to the most important type of criticism, that is descriptive criticism. In this type of criticism, the poets are discussing their own works with self-justification and defending them against hostile attacks. The great example for this type of criticism is Dryden's An Essay on Dramatic Poesy. It was appeared in 1688. It was written in dialogue form, especially in the form of the Socratic dialogue. And 1663, a French man named Sorbier came to England, and on return to France, he published an account of his English journey in which he made derogatory remarks on the English grammar. So, as a reply, Dryden has written this work, the Essay on Dramatic Poesy. There are 4 talkers in this work. They are Eugenius, Critus, Lycidas, and Neander. Neander is Dryden himself. The central theme of the essay is the justification of the merits of English plays. That's why Dryden's An Essay on Dramatic Poesy is considered the descriptive type of criticism. The next one that I have for you is Impressionistic criticism. What is Impressionistic criticism? This is the record of personal responses, and it is the record of the critic's own appreciation of aesthetic beauty. For example, the critic of this kind doesn't evaluate a work, he doesn't call it a good or bad, rather he seeks to convey his own enjoyment of it to his readers. Walter Pater and other English aesthetists are impressionistic in their criticism. Moving on to the next type of criticism. The next type of criticism is textual or ontological criticism. What is textual criticism? Like formalistics, text and text only. The critic of this kind concentrates on the structure of the poem and the various elements that combine to make up that structure. The critic doesn't consider biography, history, sociology, and psychology factors. And also in this type of criticism, words, diction, language, image, meter, tone, theme are closely studied. Let's see the next type of criticism, that is psychological criticism. The psychological criticism is a result of the researches of Freud, Jung, and Bergson. This kind of criticism brings new interpretations and hidden significances are discovered, because the psychology has provided the critic to study the interior life of the writer and then to study his works with reference to it. Moving on to the next type of criticism, that is sociological criticism. What is sociological criticism? According to Wilbur Scott, art is not created in a vacuum. It is the work not simply of a person, but of an author fixed in time and space, answering to a community of which he is an important and articulate part. What does he mean? He means art's relations to society are vitally important, and this should be investigated. Therefore, sociological critic is interested in understanding the social milieu, the social environment. The sociological criticism is also called as Marxist criticism. The last type of criticism that we're going to see is the archetypal criticism. The archetypal criticism is actually a branch of psychological criticism. It deals with the unconscious, not of the writer or his imagined characters, but of the human race. Simply, we can understand that the critic is discovering the existence of underlying mythological patterns. That's why it is also called mythological criticism and also called as Totemic criticism. This is all about the types of literary criticism. With this note, I end up this video. If you like this video, give a thumbs up, share and subscribe to this channel. We will meet in the next video soon. Until then, bye.